Hey everyone, welcome to What's on My Bookshelf. So I'm back with another book tag for today's video. It's the Reader Problems book tag, I believe. And I thought, why not? Let me give it a go. So let's start with the first question. Right. So the first question is, you have 20,000 books on your TBR. How the hell do you choose what to read next? So this is like the age-old question, and yes, I do have a lot of books on my TBR, but not 20,000 for sure. I have to say that in the recent times, after I became a mother, the reading has gone way down, and I don't get to read as much as I want to. In fact, I'm lucky if I get to read even 3 books a month. Right? So yeah, how do I pick and choose the next book? It depends on a lot of things. My budget, for one, if I have the budget to buy the next book, how many books I already have that are unread, and my mood basically. What do I feel like reading? Even if I feel like reading a thriller, what under thriller do I feel like reading? Do I feel like reading crime fiction? Do I feel like reading mystery and suspense? Do I feel like reading Nordic noir? So there is a lot of categories under that as well. So depending on my mood, ultimately I'll come back. It all comes down to my mood, really. In the back of my mind, I've already decided what I want to read. It all depends on my mood, really. So maybe I want to read a particular book, but when I start reading it, I'm like, this is not interesting, right? So unless the book hooks me in within the first 10 or so pages, there is just no way I'm going to read that, right? So yeah, that's pretty much, I would say, how I would decide to read my book, based on my budget. If I don't have the budget, then I would read from the books that I already have. I don't have a TBR jar as such, but I do sometimes write down the books that I want to read. So if I have written that down, then I will definitely give that a try. I'll try to take the books from there and see what I want to read for sure. Yes. Hope that. Right. So the second question is, you are halfway through a book and you're just not loving it. What do? Do you continue or do you quit reading? I have to say that's pretty difficult, because it depends on the author and depends on the writing. If the writing is really good, then I may give it another go. I may give it as much as I can, continue reading it. But if the writing is also not good and I'm just not connecting with the story, then right, I will at least for that time being, I will keep it aside. But if my mood is good and I'm starting to enjoy the book, then yes, I will continue reading it. That's pretty much what I would normally do. I would keep it aside if I'm not connecting with it, and I will definitely give it another chance, but it all depends on my mood for sure. Right, so third question is, the end of the year is so near and you're so close to finishing or catching up to your Goodreads challenge. What do you do? Do you try to catch up? And if you do, how? Difficult, because I honestly don't know what I would do. Last year I didn't read anything. I had no Goodreads challenge set up. The year before that, I did not complete my challenge. I wanted to read around 90 books, I think, but I read only 70. And the year before that, I met my challenge. It was around 24 books, so I easily met it. I was more than happy with it. But the second year, 2018 or 2019, whenever it was, I did not meet it, but I was like, 70 books were more than happy. I was more than happy with it. So I just edited it on Goodreads, and I was like, I reduced the number to 70, 72, whichever number I finished, and I was like, Goodreads challenge completed. So I was more than happy with that, right? But this year, I'm in a dilemma, really. I want to finish 52 books, but I have read only 22, and I have no idea how I'll catch up, really. I mean, how do you catch up? I don't want to cram reading, and really, what do you do? I mean, tell me, what do you guys do? Do it in the comments. Do mention it in the comments, right? If I had to give it a go, what about rereads? I would love to read my Harry Potter books again. I've been wanting to read it again because it's been ages. The last time I read them, I was a teenager, and I have not reread them for the longest time, and I just wondered how I would react to these books today. And so probably do a reread, I guess. I'm not sure, but what would you guys do? You should definitely help me out. I have no idea what I would do if I did not meet the challenge. though I would really love to. Okay, the next question is, the cover of a book series do not match. What do you do? Again, a really difficult book reader's problem, I agree. Now, let me tell you what I did once. Bear and the Nightingale. So what happened is, I got the third part in a book box, and that is how I discovered this series. Okay, now I did not know that this is a series, first of all, but when I realized it is, I wanted to buy the first two books. I mean, the other two books. Yeah, the first two. So luckily I got the first part in the same, covers. It matched. I knew it belonged in the same edition. And I bought this. So I was really happy. But the girl in the tower gave me nightmares. I searched and searched and searched. I just couldn't find the same cover in this series. I had these two matching, and this one was like not available, out of stock, not available, out of stock. So I decided to wait. I even tweeted to Del Rey publishers asking them for to send me a book if it is possible, or at least direct me to a site where this is available, but I never got a reply. And I almost gave up, and then one day, more than a year later, in fact last year, after waiting for more than a year, last year in November or something, I got this book, right? And it was the only copy left, only one left. They write that on Amazon. I got it, and I have these 3 books in the similar covers. The question was, what would you do if it did not match? So what would I do if it didn't match? Now, here is a book where I don't have matching covers. These two are similar, and this is not. In fact, I wanted this cover actually. I'm not sure. It's been so long since I bought it. I don't know which cover I was going for. But I normally would go for such covers because I love the 90s kind of a retro styling design covers, and it talks more about what the book is about rather than this one, which is just almost like a generic design. I don't think I would have gone for this, but this is what I got, right? So no, I'm pretty much alright with it, even though I wish it wasn't like that. But I would get on with it because what matters is that I have that book, right? And I try to look at the silver lining, really. Yes, so the next question is, everybody you know and their mother loves a book that you hate, apparently. So what do you do? Who do you bond over with your shared feelings? Well, what is Bookstagram for? I would just probably write a rant on my website or on my story, and once I post it, somebody will be there out there who will probably agree with me. I'm pretty sure of that. Come on, nobody loves a book. Even Harry Potter has people who don't like it. Come on. So it's not like my book is the only one. The one that I don't like I'm the only one who doesn't like it. So that's pretty much not a big problem, I think. But yeah, you may find it a little difficult to find someone initially, probably. But there are so many book clubs now, and I'm pretty sure I could find somebody, at least one person in the whole wide world who could share my feelings. I'm pretty sure of that, right? Yeah. Okay, the next question is, you are reading a book and you're about to cry. How do you deal with it? In public, apparently. First of all, I will not read a book in public because I do not have the patience or the concentration level to read in public. I will be constantly distracted, and I have 2 kids to look after, so reading is the last thing I'll be doing in public. And if I'm going out alone, it will not be for leisure, it will be for some purpose. So no, I will not read in public. And if I do end up reading in public for some goddamn reason, then crying in public over reading a book, I would just keep it in. I may not even continue reading to take a break so that I can soak it in and then go home and read it. That's probably what I would do. What do you think is the right answer to that? I probably wouldn't cry in public over a book. I may have my eyes may get a little watery, but that's it. So far I have not read a book that made me cry, and I do avoid that kind of books. Though I am looking forward to reading Song of Achilles, something like that, and I've read that it's supposed to be very sad and all that. I'm looking forward to reading that book. Fingers crossed. Okay, right, the next question. A sequel of a book that you loved is releasing. So what do? Do you reread the book, or do you go and read a synopsis on Goodreads? How do you remember what you read in the first part? That depends, really. Especially these days, there is a website, I forget the name. I think it's Recap or something. They provide a compact summary of everything that has happened in a book. It's specifically made. This website is specifically for sequels, books that have sequels. So if you have forgotten what you read, in fact, it happened to me with the Winter Night trilogy. So I had to check out this website, and when I read it, I was like, yes, I remember this, I remember that. So that was pretty helpful. And if that website was not available, then I would probably just read the synopsis again, and just quickly brush through the book. But ultimately, when I start reading the second book, I'll just come back to it and realize, okay, that's what happened. I'll just get onto it. I'll start from where I stopped. Yes, the next question is, somebody wants to borrow a book from you. How do you say no politely? Exactly like that. Actually, I've never said no to anybody who wants to borrow a book. I'm more than happy to lend it, actually. Unless it's something that is very expensive and like a collector's edition or something, then I may not be very happy to lend it, but I'll definitely let them know to be very careful with it. And if I know if it is somebody who will be careful with a book, I will definitely just let them know and give it. Otherwise, if I don't know how they are going to be with a book, I don't know. I think I will have to cross the bridge when I reach there, because so far I have not said no to somebody borrowing a book. And yes, I have not received 1 or 2 books that I have lent before, but I have not let it deter me from lending a book before. So I probably would allow it. And it's really my fault that I didn't follow back. I forgot to ask them to give it back to me also. But if I had to say no, I don't know. As I said, I will have to cross the bridge once I reach there. Depends really entirely on who is asking. So the next book reader's problem is reading slump. How do you get over a reading slump? This is a nightmare for any book lover. Especially for me these days, reading is a luxury for sure, because I don't get to read as much as I did before. And I'm very picky now. If I'm not happy with the book, I am brutal with its review, because I'm somehow getting time to read the book, and you turn out to be disastrous. I'm gonna just rip you apart. That's the kind of attitude I have these days. But definitely I am more kinder in my review for sure, but that's definitely what I feel like saying it out loud. And reading slump, I just wait it out. Honestly, I would probably what I would usually do is I would just let the book come to me. I do have these reading spurts, and so if I'm lucky enough to get a book that holds my interest, I would just quickly read through it. I would maximum take 3 days to finish a book. So I'll try to read a book as quickly as I can. I would say that helps in my reading slump. So I may read one book in 3 days, and then I may not read anything for another 10 days. But I just let my interest decide what to read and how to read. That's mostly the way I could get out of a book slump these days anyways. So it would definitely depend on the book. If the book is good, if it holds my interest, then yes, within that book I would get out of the reading slump. But I do feel like it's a burnout happening. So I would really suggest to pace it out. Don't read more than 4 books a month. I think 4.5, 5 books is the ideal number to read in a month, so that you don't get burned out and you can avoid a reading slump altogether. If you have something else on your mind, you can never give your attention to the book you're reading. So I think that's another reason for a book slump too. So you need to be mentally free as well to enjoy a book. At least that's the case with me personally. Yeah. Right. The next question is, there are so many books releasing every month, every year. How do you decide which books to buy? How can anybody answer this question? Okay. First of all, I do not buy every book I see. I always decide if I want to go for the paperback or the hardcover. Now, usually for fantasy books, I try to go for the hardcover because that's what I like. And for thrillers and minor fantasy books, what does minor fantasy look like? Like Shadow and Bone. My Shadow and Bone books are paperbacks, but then I got it in a set, so I was happy about that. So new books, how do I buy them? How do I decide it? Depends definitely on the author. It depends on the writing. Like the blurb, if the blurb excites me, like Spin the Dawn, if I remember, I read it. It was like Project Runaway meets Mulan, and I was sold with that, and I knew I was going to buy that book. So some books are really lucky in that sense. They have some really good writers giving them a really good edge to its blurb that makes the reader's decision making easier. So it all depends on the reviews, it all depends on the author, it all depends on the cover, and then I would probably decide what to buy and what not to buy. So I definitely do not have any problem in deciding which book to buy, though I wish I could buy all of them really. Right. So after the final question, after you have bought these new books, how long do they sit on your shelf before you have read them? That is such a funny question. Now, as I just said, it's been 2 years since I bought these books, the SOC ideology. And I remember Shadow and Bone also, I took more than a year to read it. I read it 1 month before the series was going to release. By that time, it was more than a year since I had it, at least 14 months since I bought that book. So, but Spin the Dawn, I read it immediately, the moment I received the book. And I finished it within 2 days. So it really depends on my mood and how the writing is. Shadow and Bone, I remember trying to read it before, but I couldn't wrap my head around it. But after seeing the trailer for the book, I was like, wow, I have to read this. And the initial first 2 pages, even though there was a hiccup, I managed to read it after that. And I was like, wow. I expected it to be boring, but thankfully it wasn't. So it all depends on my mood, it all depends on how the first page is received. Sometimes I may try to read it immediately after buying it, but if the book doesn't hook me right, then it definitely sits on the shelf for a longer period of time for sure. Like there are a lot of books here that I have not read. A lot of books here I have not read. Yeah. So that's it, guys. That is my book reader problem. Thanks. How did you like it? And do share, subscribe, and don't forget to comment. I would love to see your answers to this tag. I hope you liked it, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.